Hey everybody, welcome to The Rundown. I'm Sunny Galt. I'm a messenger with United Network News. We are the official news channel for CARE, which stands for the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. And we talk about the real news. It's important to have factual information so you can make smart life decisions. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's not a lot of people that are actually giving truth nowadays. There's a lot of narratives, a lot of ideas floating around there, a lot of speculation, but as far as real truth and real information, that is a scarcity. But that is what we discuss. And we have a newscast that is released through our online distribution platform at unitednetwork.tv, and it comes out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I usually do a podcast episode right after the newscast. Just kind of touching on some things that we talk about. It's not an exact replica of the newscast, of course. It's, a condensed version. We're giving you some highlights. We talk about local stories that are submitted through you guys. We call you guys our field messengers when you do stories for us. We talk about the new Earth and where things are going on our planet. There's a lot of amazing things happening right now. Of course, you'll never hear about that on mainstream media. We talk about regional stories that impact the people. And we have what we call our World Situation Report. And that is stuff I promise you will not hear anywhere else. And it's all about things that are happening on our planet, things that are happening off planet. We talk a lot about this transition that we're going through. We were going from a very dark age, and we are now in an age of light. And we will continue to be in an age of light forevermore. And so this is an amazing time to be here on this planet. And like I said, some of you that are listening to this now may be like, Sunny, you say that, but what I see happening is crazy town. And that's true. This is chaos. A lot of what you're seeing, a lot of it is manufactured chaos. A lot of things are being done now to keep you in fear because that is a control mechanism that they use. But if you, and this may sound a little woo-woo for some people, but if you really search your soul, you will find peace because all that other stuff is just not real. But listen to what your heart is telling you. And that's what we encourage you guys to do. And we give you information to support that. And be a good human. That's what we want. And you may be wondering, well, how do you have access to this? Like, you mean to tell me, you have information that NBC, CBS, Fox, and, all these alternative media sources that they don't have? And yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. We have access to the highest security clearance on this planet. It's called the Alpha System. We talk about it all the time. And because we have access to this, we can share information with you, which for a lot of people is going to be mind-blowing. It's going to be stuff you've never heard of before that you didn't even know were possible. It's like, am I, watching a sci-fi movie here? What in the world is going on? But I encourage you guys to stick with us, even if it seems really far out there, because it is the truth. Sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. And that is definitely the kind of world that we are living in today. So let's go ahead and get to it, shall we? This is the rundown for Friday, December 22nd, 2023. So let's start with our field messenger reports. We have some holiday-themed field messenger reports. And our field messengers are people just like you. They understand that things are changing in the world. They want the truth to get out there. And we believe the best way to share local truths of what's happening in your neighborhood is for you guys to tell that story. And so we call those people our field messengers. They're literally grabbing their camera, their smartphone, whatever, and recording the information. They send it to us, and our production team puts it together. If you want some more information about how to become a field messenger, you can go to our website at unitednetwork.news. And then there is a field messenger tab at the top, and you can learn all about the program. So we have got 3 holiday-themed stories for you today. All of them, I think, are better if you actually view the story, but I'll run through them really quickly just to give you an idea. The first one is called the Festival of Lights, and this is from Jamhuri, who is out of Manitoba, Canada. And I believe Manitoba, the way she explains it, is that it's full of multiculturalism. Did I say that right? Multiculturalism. And that helps to dispel fears of other cultures, right? If you learn more about other cultures and, especially around the holidays, everyone celebrates things a little bit differently, then there's not that kind of stigma. We all understand each other a little bit better. And so this was an event that she went to, and I believe it was called the Festival of Lights. A lot of dancing, beautiful clothing, glittery shoes, the whole bit. There were some, trees decorated and things like that. And it was men and women were coming together. And this is really popular amongst Hindu cultures. And so it was a nice way for other people to kind of find out about this and to participate. And again, if you want to see the dancing in its full glory, you can check out the actual report. Next, we have the Festival of Trees. Now, this took place in Oregon, which is it's a state in the United States. And this is Kim bringing us this story. And she goes to this small town in Brownsville. And she shows us these different trees. Now, what this community has done is every year they decorate these trees. They have an auction, and it raises hundreds of dollars per tree, I think she said. So she showed us some of the amazing trees. And it's just a nice, quaint village. People getting together around the holidays and having fun. And so there's that story. And then the final Field Messenger report was about some Christmas lights, basically a tribute that was going on in British Columbia. This is from Annette. She did this story. And this was at her church. And they had all these different Christmas lights. I don't know, what is it about Christmas lights? It just kind of makes you feel good. For me personally, I love the white lights. But on this property, everything was decorated and people came from miles away to see the lights. And they just took kind of a piece of the yard and lit it up. And it was just, really pretty. If you would actually like to see these stories as opposed to me just telling you about them, there is a way to access all of our Field Messenger reports for free. So you don't need to become a member. You don't need to pay or anything like that. I'm going to tell you about a link at the end of this podcast that you can go to and get that information. Now it's time for our New Earth stories. And I love this segment of our newscast because it's so inspiring and uplifting. And like I said, in our day-to-day lives, we see all this mess happening around us, but it's not about what's necessarily happening now or the perception of what's happening now. It's where we're going. That's why there seems to be so much chaos now, is because the people that have been in charge for a very long time are losing power, and they're doing everything they can to keep that power. But where we're going is such a beautiful place, and we call this place the New Earth. Now, you don't have to go anywhere. We're not getting on a spaceship and hopping to another planet or anything like that, a new version of the Earth. But there's so many things that are happening here that it is like our whole, we're changing dimensions. I mean, there's some incredible things going on, and it not only impacts our planet, but it impacts humanity and all organic beings that are here. So we like to give you kind of a heads up of that because obviously these are huge changes, and we like to inspire you and get you thinking about the world that you always wanted, okay? Because that is what's happening here. And so we've got an interview, a friend of mine, Lindsay Andriotti. She loves to motivate people, especially people that, they have something they want to do in life. It might be very different from what they do in their day-to-day life, like how they make money and stuff like that, but they've got a passion, right? So Lindsay talks to us today about finding your passion and purpose and different exercises, basically, that you can do to rekindle that. Because let's face it, for so long, we have been told, you can't do that. How are you going to make money doing that? Everything has been about our financial system. And we are moving to a world where that does not matter. And what really matters is you pursuing that thing that really drives you, that makes you excited. And for some people, they lost that. It's kind of like it hurt to keep it with them. And so, they just kind of gave up. So we're talking about how to rekindle that, which is awesome. And some other stories as part of the New Earth. We have this is really an example of someone finding their passion and purpose and finding it early. We have a student. His name is Isaac Winfield. He lives in the UK and he's young, I believe he's high school age. And he started a gift bank, and he also launched his 5th food bank. And you guys, he started this initially just with his birthday money. So that just shows you the heart of this kid, right? To help other people. The gift bank is something new. They just launched that. And that is literally helping to give gifts for people that otherwise wouldn't receive anything. So obviously around the holidays, that's, really important. And on its first day of opening, they helped 200 children, which is incredible, right? And now he's working with different organizations like the YMCA. And it's just, it's growing. It's naturally growing because he has a heart to help other people. These are some of the things that we can look forward to. This kind of behavior will be and is being rewarded. We're seeing this time and time again. And there's so many more people that need help, right? We need a lot of Isaac Winfields in this world. So hopefully that inspired you guys. Also want to talk a little bit about gift giving from the wrapping point of view. Because we all have to wrap our presents, right? Well, have you ever thought about what happens with all the wrapping afterward? Because, it is fun to, unwrap a gift. It's like, ooh, what's inside the gift? But this story talks about the waste, right? What happens to all of this stuff that we're just kind of tearing apart and it's all over the floor and you got to pick it up afterward, right? Well, 2.3 million pounds of all this wrapping paper and stuff, that ends up in public landfills. And that's a lot, right? So we just kind of take a look, not to guilt anyone, because trust me, I wrapped a bunch of presents already this year. But as we move forward, is there a better way that we can do this? Can we help our planet? Can we make this eco-friendly? And so this story focuses on different things that you can do. Some of the stuff is obvious, like reusing gift bags. It's so funny because when I was wrapping presents this year, that's exactly what we do. Those gift bags must get used a million times before, we get rid of them. We cover up, the tags, oh, last year it was made out to this person. Let's put a tag over it that says, no, the gift is for this person. We will, those boxes, a lot of boxes that you put clothes in and stuff that's got, the bottom portion and the top lid, we'll reuse those. So there's that side of it, but also thinking about better things that are better for the environment. For example, using twine instead of ribbon, right? That can decompose and, it's just overall better for the environment. So we just, want to get the wheels turning. Nobody's bad for using wrapping paper, but there are alternatives and they look beautiful. I mean, the gifts in the video that we showed were just amazing. And our final story is about board games. Now, I don't know if your family is into board games. We are a big board game family, especially with Grandma and Papa coming into town, and they have a lot of extra free time. And so every night my kids are playing board games. But we talk about the benefits of this and how it's obviously eco-friendly. But this can be an effective tool for you and your family. It fosters a bonding between your family. It stimulates conversation. It gets your kids away from those screens, right? It can lengthen attention spans. It can help with concentration. It enhances teamwork, especially if you've got kids that aren't getting along. Maybe that's what they have to do. They have to play a board game together and work it out in a non-confrontational way. It also helps with anxiety. So, if the weather outside is frightful, then maybe you can stay inside and play a board game together. Moving on to our regional stories. So I've got 4 stories that I want to share with you quickly today. The first one is about a pretty big shakeup over at Toshiba. So they have ended their 74-year run on the Tokyo stock market. And this impacts a lot of people. They had 106,000 employees. But essentially, this company has undergone a lot of restructuring, and there were bankruptcies and everything tied into this. A group of Japanese investors now owns Toshiba. They spent $14 billion to help the company, to buy the company and make whatever changes they're going to make. And apparently they are concentrating on high margin digital services. So we bring this up because that's a really big brand. And we're going to start to see more and more of this because big changes have to happen in these large corporations. Not just the structuring of them and everything, but the product that they're putting out. A lot of this is endangering humanity. It's harmful to humanity. It had a negative and dark agenda to it. So when you live in a light age, that does not work anymore. And so we are going to start to see this happen more and more, where the whole structure of companies change. They were initially making products like, the little jabby jab things that go in your arm and whatever, and they're going to have to change because it just will not work in a light system. So this is a big company, right? And we're going to see this more and more. Our next story is about Wells Fargo because their staff, at least in certain locations, is interested in unionizing. And this has never happened before with a U.S. bank. And the people are not happy, right? We're hearing this across the board with employees, especially of these larger brands, these larger companies. So the staff is complaining of understaffing, insufficient pay, mismanagement, and you see more and more people stepping up, the strikes and everything that's going on. And now we're talking about unionizing something that's never been unionized before. And it's kind of spreading, one location will do it or talk about doing it, and then employees in another location talk about it. So this is happening right now with Wells Fargo. And like I said, we have seen this happen throughout this year. Other labor unions renegotiating, coming back to the table, and those negotiations are going over really well. We saw this with UPS. We see this with major automakers. We saw this with the strikes in Hollywood. So, I'm thinking good for humanity, kind of patting humanity on the back, because it's like we're waking up and we're realizing that this is not okay. The way we've been treated is not okay. And we need a new path forward. And so people are starting to speak out. At Walmart, there is a new offering from Affirm Holdings, okay? And this is part of their buy now, pay later system. So you may not even know if you visit Walmart, you probably don't even know it's Affirm that's behind this. But remember back in the day, we used to put things on layaway. That used to be a really big thing. Walmart had a layaway program until 2020. I'm sure it had something to do with the pandemic, but that's when their layaway program went away. And, people are like maxing out their credit cards and doing all this kind of stuff. And, it's not good for their credit ratings, and they're missing payments, and it's just a giant mess. So this buy now, pay later is a nice alternative because it allows people to pay in increments. And this is happening at Walmart. It says that there are 4,500 Walmart self-checkout kiosks that this impacts. So I thought that was kind of interesting. This is self-checkout. That's, where you don't have a helper and you're scanning the stuff yourself. This is an option in 4,500 locations. So obviously they're testing things out. Now you can defer payment between 3 months and 24 months. And you have to spend at least $144 or more, and that excludes groceries. So groceries are not included of what you can pay here. But apparently they are seeing a lot of success with this buy now, pay later option. It was up 42.5% since last year. And that's based on Cyber Monday. So they basically analyzed this last Cyber Monday from the year prior, and people using buy now, pay later, it was up 42.5%. And our final story, just to give you an idea of things that are happening around the world, is about the country Angola leaving OPEC. And they say that they are leaving because they have concerns with the reduction of production quotas. And this has led to the African nation struggling a lot, with these imposed restrictions on oil production, leading to some issues over there. On our end here in the U.S., it actually led to lower oil prices, which meant U.S. drivers paid less at the pump, which I guess that's good news for U.S. drivers, but it's obviously hurting other countries. And so they decided to leave. As a result, OPEC has announced a decision to include Brazil in their group. So we'll monitor that and see where that goes. And now it's time for our World Situation Report. So Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian was on the news with us, and we had some interesting things to talk about. So if you recall, on Wednesday, we had some really good news to report, and that is that we had 100% of operatives now on board. Remember, people were really freaked out about the Italian guy and the fact that he was taken out, and they thought, oh my gosh, there's no repercussions. This guy apparently was pretty high up, at least he thought he was, and everyone else thought he was, and he was taken out, sent back to source, sent back to God. And so there were no repercussions for that. And it kind of made people really fearful of Kim, because who is she that, no evil monsters came and, there were no consequences for taking their top guy out? What in the world's happening? So a lot of people were scared. We talked about that. If you want to go back and listen to the report on Wednesday, that's what we focused on. So this is the aftermath of that, because when we were doing the newscast on Wednesday, a lot of stuff was still happening. So Kim gave us an update. So basically, a lot of information has been coming at these people, right? And so they have to make a decision. Are they going to move forward with the restoration of our planet, or are they going to continue to try to harm humanity? And if that's the case, then they're going to be sent back to source. That's how this works. At a light age, this is what happens. And so there are a handful of people, mainly generals, some Jesuits, that want to keep with the Let's Destroy Earth plan. And they had what Kim refers to as a rah-rah session, trying to get operatives and other people, come on, we're going to do this. We can beat her. Or we can, gain all of our power back, right? And so this is, for those of you who have read the Bible, are familiar with Revelation, we're going to tie in some things today that are mentioned in the Bible. So these, I'm just going to call them crazy people, because there's no other term for this, for who they are and what they do. They are very entitled people. They think very highly of themselves. Their ego is ginormous. These people that want to keep with the so-called plan, because they were promised that they would rule Earth. And if someone promises you that, you don't want that to be taken away from you, okay? They literally think they are the 144,000 that are talked about in Revelation from the Bible. They say they are descendants of the Anunnaki. So if you are familiar with history, you have probably heard that term before. And it is possible that, we can use the term descendant lightly, but it is possible that they have some of that in them. But that in no way makes them entitled to run our planet. Okay. Now, this is how crazy things get. And I'm not going to include a soundbite from this, because honestly, these are just crazy people, and what they think is going to happen is insane. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about this. So now, no soundbite today on exactly what Kim had to say, but let me just give you an overview of their crazy plan and what they think is going to happen as we speak. On the solstice, which that was December 21st, so that was yesterday, although they're not sure if the dates are right. They'll move the dates around if it suits their agenda, okay? But they believe that apparently the Anunnaki, someone is going to come pick them up in a ship. And when I say that, I don't mean on the water. I'm talking about a spaceship. And the reason they're going to get picked up is because there's going to be this huge harvest of Earth and humanity. And that's not a good harvest, okay? There's like little harvests, and we're mainly talking about looshing, okay? Taking our energy and things like that. Not necessarily eating us or destroying us, but this is supposed to be the big harvest, and everyone's supposed to get wiped out. So if you believe their narrative, which is very gloom and doom, everybody is supposed to die in a handful of days, apparently. And they, the chosen ones, and that's nothing to do with the Jewish faith and culture or anything like that. These are people that are insane, okay? They are chosen ones that after they're picked up and after the world is destroyed, they are supposed to come back and repopulate the earth with their bloodline, because it is so special. Whatever's in their blood, their Anunnaki blood, is so special. This is literally what they think is going to happen. These are major generals and Jesuits and people that have been running this planet for a while. Now you know why we have a crazy planet. All right. So that's what they think is going to happen. Is it going to happen? Absolutely not. There is no sign of this happening. There's no way it could happen. The alpha system would pick up on anything like this, and nobody's coming to save them, okay? They found some information in old texts that they are using to, basically try to get them out of a pinch, make them feel better about themselves. I don't know. The dates vary, so this could take place anytime between now and like the first of the year. It's just crazy town. So there are still some people that do not want to restore our planet. They are still on this dark agenda. So moving on, let's talk about some other things that were mentioned in the World Situation Report. Let's talk about chemtrails, because I know a lot of you, we hear from you on Telegram, and there is an uptick in the chemtrail situation. And we mentioned on Wednesday's news, I believe it was Wednesday, that the Italian that is no longer here, that has been sent back to source. The Italian, before he departed, put in an order, for lack of a better term, to spray the heck out of us, and paid whoever was doing that, the group of people that are doing that. And we were able to reach out to that group and say, stop it. Keep the money. We don't care about the money, but quit spraying people. And so this picks up, based on what we found out on Wednesday. So what happened since then? Because we have heard from a lot of people saying there's still chemtrails, we're still getting sprayed to death. So Kim updates us not only on the chemtrail situation, but then how that leads into all the things that these crazy people are doing now, getting ready for this harvest.
Now, these were different types of chemtrails that they had gotten out of a facility in New Jersey. And these were metals, heavy metals, that's true. They are known as a metamaterial or a made metal. So they're not something you could find in our periodic table or anything like that. And they save the best for last. So these are apparently harvest chemtrails that we're seeing now. And it's part of the reason why a lot of people are not feeling well from them, even worse than normal. So that facility is not there anymore. How much they have left in the air or, on the runway, I don't know. We've been working on that. But that's why they said they wanted to keep spraying until the end of the week. So these metamaterials, let me explain them to you. They are not actually designed to physically harm you per se themselves. They are designed to be superconductors for dark consciousness.
Oh, interesting.
Dark matter, dark energy, and that is what actually would have physically harmed you through all your planes of existence. It's part of the Harvest program. Apparently, there's probably a handbook for that with a list of things you do, tick, 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 like Santa's checklist, I guess. In order to make this happen. So they had decided if this information is true, we might as well give it a go. We should do all the things on our checklist that, the functions we're supposed to perform so that we are been good little boys and girls in the eyes of the aliens that are going to come pick us up. I mean, we don't want to be left behind.
So are they physically doing this themselves? Or are the operatives helping them? Because it's not a big group of people to carry this out.
Whether or not they know it, that is the reason for the rah-rah session they had yesterday. I call it a rah-rah session. That's when, all right, everybody's together now. We're so excited for what's going to happen. And the tides are going to turn in our favor. And you're going to be included in this. And we're going to pay you big money. And everything's going to happen. And we're going to be in charge. And we're going to be the only ones in charge on this planet. So they left out all of the intricate details of why they were all doing this. And I can tell you right now, there was only 144,000 slots, and there are more than 144,000 people included in this mess.
Are they taking that from the Bible? I mean, obviously the 144 are mentioned in the Bible. Is that where they're getting their cue from?
Yeah, they're the chosen ones. Yeah. From my understanding, the entire book of revelations, for lack of a better term. I mean, and I'm not saying the entire Bible, so don't take this the wrong way, but the book of Revelations was an afterthought and not written by, let's just say, a human getting information from source or from God and writing that information down. These were things that were supposed to happen during the harvest.
Right. So, I mean, it was John that reportedly wrote Revelation in the Bible,
Yeah.
at least. And so I always thought it could be a different timeline. I was like, well, maybe that happened on another timeline, but maybe not. Like, how do you think that it came
Well,
about?
the last time something like this took place, and it has taken place,
Right.
was when we transitioned into the Dark Ages.
Okay.
So that was a long time ago in Earth's time. And yes, we had humans on the planet at that time. And they were under the impression it always happens. See, this is where you don't know how to read these old texts, or they don't, I should say, because
Okay.
they were under the impression, since we're transferring into a new age now, that this same process repeats itself and we all get wiped out and we start all over. That is absolutely not the case. If we were to transition into a neutral age, what would have happened if that were to take place? We have plenty of room on this planet. The planet would have been more of a balanced planet. In other words, we would have had just as much light coexisting with just as much dark, and we would have had to learn how to all get along and no one is in charge.
Right.
That's how it works. We have equal power. But since these dumb humans don't understand that, and they are dumb humans, sorry, but because they don't understand that was off the agenda now. So we're transferring into a light age, which means that the dark ones are the ones that are actually removed, meaning sent back to source. That's why for the last several months, thousands and thousands and the legions came, and, those are your aliens. Those are the only ones you're getting. And yes, they're attacking your side. Okay. That's all you're getting, because we are going into a light age now. So what you're doing is no longer permitted in this world. You will be taken out, and there'll be more people to depart today, I'm sure, for their shenanigans yesterday. So that is the reason why, the Q posts are posting, this is your last Christmas, prepare, enjoy it. Ha. By the end of the day, the 26th, we were all supposed to be gone, I guess. I'm sure of it, according to their plans. And then, of course, then they could come back to Earth, Earth would be all dark then. They would come back to Earth, repopulate the Earth, and they would be paid significant sums of money for doing their part in the harvest plan.
Ooh, so I told you it was a strange story, right? Some crazy science fiction movie where aliens come and, save the quote unquote good people who are really the bad people. I mean, seriously, this is where we're at. Okay. Well, like I said, truth is stranger than fiction. Next, I want to talk about, since we're, coming up on Christmas here in the next couple days, we want to share some information, which those of you who have a background in Catholicism and going to church, we want to share some things about some of the rituals and things that happen when humanity gathers in churches, and how this is tied to Christmas and looshing, right? Which is the gathering of our energy. Because we were told certain things, right? And we think we're going to church and we're connecting with God, and hopefully some of that is really happening, but they had an ulterior motive.
There were other things that were part of the old looshing every year plan. Now this comes, this is relative to Christmas and other holidays that humans celebrate. So, as one example, in Catholic churches, located in most all the altars around the world, is this same dark consciousness metamaterial.
Oh,
I know, with a larger facility that used to be located underneath the Vatican to collect that consciousness and that loosh. Because you may remember where we might all be tired at midnight mass if you're Catholic or whatever, but you generally are very happy to attend a mass this time of year. You know, you're very thankful and Christ is coming and those types of things. So this makes for good looshing. And this loosh would go to one of the original Abraxas females that existed on this planet, and her name was Mernith. And you can look up this name. There is some articles about an archaeological site with Mernith and the jars of wine. They say it's wine. It wasn't wine. It was loosh. It was during a first looshing experience on the planet. And there was a storage facility underneath there that would then transport all your essence and your energy to the lower astral every year, like clockwork. I know. So that is part of the reason why they have perverted this holiday quite a bit, because it's celebrated by all those, you know, that are positive, you know, on the light side, or as organic humans, and all those who are not. So you get both flavors of loosh around that time. Then once the harvesting loosh, you know, these are the smaller harvests that we would have. Once the harvesting was done, then the deep state would have gotten paid for transference of that loosh. Hence the reason why the Jesuits were so heck bent on continuing with the plan. Crazy. Because of the facility underneath the Vatican. Unbeknownst to them.
Does that facility still exist?
No.
Okay.
No. That facility hasn't been there for a while, and it was tied to the Kali Ma. There was a Kali Ma energy program, AI version of the Kali Ma, which the Kali Ma is Isis, throughout history, Isis, Nefertiti, Lilith.
I'm familiar with that name. It actually was used in an Indiana Jones movie. I think the second one, they're doing some satanic ritual and they keep calling out that name. When you said it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that just popped in my head. Yeah. Okay.
So they are, you know, they're under the impression they're doing quote unquote God's work, you know, by wiping us all out and starting over, because that's what God wants, because it's written in some ancient text by some people that have lied to them tremendously. And if they haven't learned anything in the last several years, you know, they should have learned that one, that they've been lied to, because the dates come and go, the dates, you know, pass, nothing happens, no money happens, and it's always based on some crazy fanatical story that was passed to them by the ultimate lying groups within the multiverse. You know, the groups that Abraxas were always full of it. I mean, they never told these humans the truth. They could care less if you lived or died or were wiped out with the rest of us. You think you're the chosen ones, and I hate to break it to you, but you're not. You're human. You put your pants on the same way we all did this morning. You did brush your teeth just like everybody else, hopefully, and you went on about your day reading ridiculous texts. So, I mean, was there even a possibility of this happening? No, there's no mechanism to make this happen. There might have been a few little things, you know, here and there that maybe had a little bit of dark energy or something like that, but it's like a broken program. It's like a motherboard that's not connected fully. The circuits are not, you know, the elevator's not going all the way to the top, so to speak, anymore. So that's pretty much what we were supposed to be expecting with all of these "we're all going to die" programs that they're putting out in the alt media and in the media. You know, Nasara Jasara, Trump's coming back on January 1st. Yeah, they're just pushing you off until you all kick the bucket. I mean, they're not, they have no intention of following through with any of this stuff. And they know it too. They do know it. Now the Q clock is reading that the Anunnaki were always been here. We walk amongst you. And I guess that's what they're calling themselves.
Oh, now they're calling themselves Anunnaki.
Oh, yeah, they're the
Yeah.
angels, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You sure looked like an angel when you were bombing the holy crap out of the Middle East, you know, and telling Turkey that they're going to be invaded by Iran any minute. Yep. You definitely were looking angelic at that time. I'm surprised you didn't sprout wings. Maybe you needed to drink a Red Bull. Isn't that what Red Bull says? You know, it gives you wings.
It
Gives you
does.
wings.
Yeah.
Maybe you need a Red Bull or something.
So obviously we're just having a little bit of fun there. These people are furthest thing from angels that I think you can possibly be. We were also talking a little bit on the sit rep about the Q clock. Now, we do not support Q in any capacity. It is another distraction for people, but there is an official Q clock and a page for it that gives some sort of countdown, and then it restarts. It's the most pathetic thing. But they are now saying terms like Anunnaki on there. We are the Anunnaki. We have always been here. This really weird stuff. So what I am hoping happens here is that the people that are, a lot of them are just good people that were following Q because there was some truth that Q put out, you know, about the satanic rituals and, you know, child abuse and all this kind of stuff. I'm hoping that this is a wake-up opportunity, right? Like, why is Q talking about Anunnaki? And I hope people start searching for the term Anunnaki because that really is part of our human history, right? They're very good at just throwing out these little, you know, breadcrumbs, right? And hoping people follow them. But I mean, they're very brazen now, you know, putting this on the Q clock. So anyway, we'll see what happens. It's just crazy town over there. We are not crazy town. We are here to rebuild and restore our planet. And we are going to do that with or without their help. But it is kind of interesting to know what they're up, you know, what they're up to. And yeah, this holiday season. So while the rest of us are celebrating the holidays with loved ones, they're waiting for a ship to come pick them up. So ship happens. As for all of us here at UNN, we certainly wish you guys happy holidays. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. We are taking Monday off, Monday being Christmas. We are not going to have a newscast. It's possible that Kim may put out a message. She was kind of iffy on that. Probably depends on what her schedule is like that day. So you might get a message from Kim on Monday. Otherwise, we will be back on Wednesday. Thanks so much for listening to our podcast today. We appreciate you all. Check us out at unitednetwork.tv. Perhaps become a member. That gives you on-demand access to our UNN newscast, complete world situation reports, original series, health and wellness videos, lots of great content. And you can connect with us on Telegram. Remember, I told you about a link that I was going to mention again at the end of the show. That link is unitednetwork.news/connect. And I will put it in the description for this video or the podcast episode as well. And that will connect you to all of our resources. And if you go under the Telegram group for CARE, you can find a lot of these kind of updates that we're talking about. If you want access to those field messenger reports, we have a specific channel for that as well. And you can see all of the amazing reports from people just like you reporting on what's happening in their community. This is The Rundown, and I'm Sunny Galt for United Network News, signing off.